that was the situation, and it was a very very memorable time as far as being there, listening to the people, being amongst the people, seeing the people all come out in a very very large force. There were even more people in the masjid during that time than there were in Bahrain, because at the time I was in Bahrain, the the masajids aren't very well, they are very large, but they don't get filled to that capacity. And this wasn't a large masjid, but it wasn't a small one either. And they were packed to capacity to the very back and outside. So it was just really good to be in that kind of environment. And then a week into Ramadan, the power went out. That was really fun. We walked into the masjid, and as we walked into the masjid, as I'm walking down the street, right around Margaret, I noticed that the streets were something was different, So I said, well, it seemed very, very still. The atmosphere seemed very still. So I said to myself, okay, this is Ramadan, the things are different, the atmosphere is different, the shaitan is chained up, maybe people are just kind of mellowed out, because of the fasting, because now we're a week into it now. And only when I got to the masjid did I realize that all the lights were out. All of the lights were out. And the first time in my life I ever prayed by candlelight in the masjid, I prayed by candlelight. You see where the imam stands on that wall there, they had just lit candles. And then people were coming in with the cell phone, using the cell phone as a flashlight, the display screen, and some of them have flashlights on it. So all you saw was the lights from cell phones bouncing around, and there's cameras in the front of the masjid. It was really something. It was really something. First time that it has ever happened when we prayed in just darkness. And I don't know what happened. Somebody told me that one of the power grids went out, or someone hit a transformer, or something happened. And in the city that I live in, these power outages used to be very common, but they're not very common anymore. And one thing I would have to commend uh, the government here in Kuwait is they really got on top of that situation quickly. We prayed Qiyamul we pray Maghrib prayer, then we prayed Isha, and then Qiyamul. When we finished with Qiyamul, it was still dark. But the reason why I didn't know it was dark is because it was only in certain pockets of the street, which was very odd. The everything from the bottom floor, say up to around the second story in any building on that particular block, and all the businesses, the power was out. But anything above that, the power was on. It was very strange. Anything from the third or fourth floor on up, everything was business as usual. And only on that particular block where the masjid was. So in my block where I live approximately a block and a half over, maybe 2 blocks over, everything is lighted up. So we didn't, I had no idea. The AC is running, the lights are on. I had no idea that the power was out until I actually stepped outside and got down the block. The next day, uh, the power was on. The power was on for Maghrib. So we came and we prayed Maghrib. And when went back for Isha, the power was out again. As a matter of fact, the power was out for Isha. Yeah, the power was out for Isha. So now the Imam is reciting, and in the middle of Isha, the power and everything and all the lights came back on, and the Imam's voice is booming through the microphone now. And you're trying to maintain your concentration, your khushu'. It was really, really something. And then, right after the Qiyam, the lights went out again. It was very funny. So the next day or the next morning at Fajr, I saw the government had brought trucks, like very, very large semi-trailer size trailers with generators. The generators were very, very massive, and they got to the root of the problem. And I think that was the last of it for the rest of the month. Um, so yeah, that was pretty much it. I am not a person who goes out a whole lot, so I don't have a lot of information to share with you all about places to go and like this, because I have found that being amongst the people sometimes, with the society, it can be a bit of a fitna. And I guess that can bring me to my next point. Your We Muslims, in the lands of the non-Muslims, we have certain ideas about what we're going to see and what we're going to encounter and the type of people that we're going to meet when we make hijrah or when we leave to go to live in Dar al Islam or live in the lands of the Muslims or the lands of Islam. And some of us, we really have pies in our eyes in regards to, you know, the integrity and the atmosphere. Some of us used to think, and I'm one of those people. You're going to see people walking around in thobes, the traditional dress which I have on now, and you're going to see women walking everywhere with black on and niqab, the face covering, and everyone's going to be giving salam, and everyone will have big beards, and people will be shaking hands like a utopia type thing. And I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. That is not the case. Through a series of, in my personal opinion, I believe, a well planned events, the Western ideology has a grip on the lands of the Muslims, and it is not letting go. And this is partly due to the fact of, or partly due to, in my opinion, from the hadith Rasulullah SAW, he said, he told his companions, I don't fear for you. I do not fear for you that the enemy will come and rush you and rush in on you in one mass or in one body. I don't believe that they will overpower you with a single force. He said, what my fear for you uh, is that the doors of the dunya, that is, the doors of these worldly pleasures and indulgences and so forth, will be open for you and you will go astray. I fear that the doors of the dunya will be open for you and you will go astray. Or, as the Prophet ﷺ said, so, what do we mean by that? You will find that the people in this area, in this region, and I was tempted to say the Arabs in this region, but it's not necessarily the case because anyone who stays in this region, and I guess this is something that goes with being or living in an affluent society, and that is that you have money to spend. Sometimes you have much more money than what you actually need or what you can do with. And the people they seem to be, in my opinion, they seem to be very, very given to their indulgences. It is not uncommon to see race cars and sports cars and, people with all the latest gadgets and everything that the dunya has to offer. He has made it his business to acquire that thing. The people here, they do this. This is from the men and the women, and I didn't know that the people had that kind of drive going on with them. So anyway, we're going to finish this one and we're going to come back to another one. I have to change batteries on my laptop. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.